4, 3, 2, 1.
About the only one left, and I'm not sure he can go. There's a looper into right field. Orioles win it. Pat Vallejo with the walk-off base hit, and the Orioles win it in 11. Oh, there it goes. Goodness. I was just going to say, doesn't have a long ball this year. He does now. Nunez jumps on that ball, and he made the play. There it goes. Nunez rips into this one, and he's got his second home run of the year. Away and slow. There it is. Yeah. Pitch right to the inside part. Good ball, coach. Can't do it any better than that. Tommy Malone's got that changeup on a string. Almost like he throws it, just kind of pulls it back. Difference maker. Watch this ball fade down and away. So it starts in the zone. Looks like it has the height to be a strike. Willie Adames offers it, and there it goes. Those last 8 or 10 feet of this first at bat. Fly ball, well hit, deep center field. Kiermaier back. And can't get it. It's out of here for a 2-run homer. Slammed into right field, but Holiday, the catcher, is there, and the double play at second base. Hit well, deep center field. Kiermaier racing back on this one. Forget about it. It's gone. Severino with his second homer in 2 games. Left field. Mullins fading back, ball carrying, he's got it on the track. And here comes Choi trying to tag, they got a play, he's out at third. So a double play, Mullins gets it into Rio Ruiz, and that runner on second is wiped out. 2 down, nobody on.
Don't look now, but the Orioles are scorching. Welcome into MASN All Access on this Monday afternoon. I'm your host, Paul Mancano. We'll have Roch Kubatko on in just a bit. Well, a weekend sweep of the Tampa Bay Rays puts the Orioles at 5-3 overall and just 2 games behind the New York Yankees in the AL East. Now remember, the top 2 teams in every division make the postseason this year. The Red Sox are floundering, the Rays are reeling, and while it's certainly early to be celebrating, the O's are already through over 13% of their 2020 schedule. Most importantly, though, they're outperforming expectations by playing like a team. That's certainly something that Brandon Hyde has to be proud of.
You know, we got 30 guys here that they're playing for each other. There's no doubt about it. And that was kind of my goal coming in last year, was to start to create a culture of guys playing for each other. I know what that feels like. I knew what I came from, and how that really, there's nothing better. There's not a better feeling to going out and having guys that truly care about playing the game hard, caring to play, caring about your teammates. Huge deal. And I think we have that. And that, like I've said it a million times, but you walk into our clubhouse last year, second half especially, that you wouldn't have known that team was a 100-loss team. And I think our guys have carried that into this year. With transactions, things that might happen, I think we have guys that are stepping up and getting an opportunity and taking advantage of it. And I just love to see, we have some great stories. We have so many guys designated for assignment. If you look around the field, this series, Yankees series, look at Yankees, look at us. How many guys that we have had on the field that have been DFA'd, traded, released, and getting an opportunity and hanging right in there. So I'm really proud of our guys for all that. And I think that they're tough. It's not easy to move organizations, be told that we don't want you anymore, and then continue to compete. And these guys are doing that. So proud of them.
Now we bring on MASNsports.com's Roch Kubatko, who joins us via Zoom. Roch, thanks so much for hopping on.
Hey, glad to be here. Glad to be anywhere right now.
Yeah, exactly. So, Roch, before the season started, if I were to tell you that the Orioles would be 5-3, John Means would be struggling, Austin Hayes would be struggling, how likely do you think of an outcome that would have been, especially considering, too, the opponents that they've been playing so far in the Yankees and the Rays, and here they are, second in the AL East?
Right, and no Hunter Harvey, who we thought would be closing. I guess I would have thought there was a slightly better chance if they'd stuck to the original schedule. Remember, this was supposed to be the soft part of the schedule with Boston, which is down, and then the Marlins, who they still haven't even played yet. They're still waiting to do that. So maybe, I would have thought, okay, well, they could get off to a fast start. Did I think they were going to sweep the Rays? Absolutely not. They don't sweep anybody, let alone a team that has a shot to win that division. Certainly, if you're taking 2 teams from each division into the postseason, they have a very good shot at playing in October. So I think that part was really surprising. I think the fact that the pitching has been as good as it has been is startling, because we know that's been a major weakness for them. I mean, bullpen guys that are coming in and throwing strikes and getting 1, 2, 3 innings. I mean, who are these guys here? So that was surprising. And the fact that they set a club record, 5 straight games with at least 10 strikeouts. People are like, who knew the Orioles were suddenly going to have dominant pitching? So yeah, and again, without really John Means at the beginning, and he's still working his way back, and some other issues. The fact that the pitching has allowed them to stay in games and the job that it's done at this point is really surprising.
Yeah, and we've seen some great performances from some position players as well. Hanser Alberto still hitting over 400. Renato Nunez is suddenly catching fire. Pedro Severino has come up clutch over the past few games. Who would be the MVP for you so far if it had to be a position player for the Orioles?
I think right now, just off the top of my head, Hanser Alberto, who I know takes great pride in hitting lefties, but I think he's a little annoyed that he doesn't hit righties that well. And now this guy's hitting everybody. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it's like he's determined to get rid of the reputation of just being more suited for platoon. And it's been really impressive. He's getting big hits, and he's getting Hanser hits, as we like to call them. There's some dinks and dunks and whatever, but he's also showed, like when the line drive he hit for the double to right field Sunday, that was an impressive piece of hitting. Like this guy, and he's got a lot of energy. I was watching him dancing on the on-deck circle during a pitching change, swaying his hips and everything. He keeps everybody really loose, and he's providing much-needed energy on a team that, all teams are trying to find that energy right now because there's no one in the stands and the dugouts. Players are spaced out more now, and so you really need a guy like that to inject that kind of energy and enthusiasm. So I think right now, with his production, but Jose Iglesias, let's give him some love. I know he's getting ripped, and the Orioles are getting ripped at opening day lineup. Batting third, Jose Iglesias. How bad is this team? All of a sudden, he's the greatest number 3 hitter in the history of the game, despite back soreness and a sore quad. So he's another guy you'd have to throw in that discussion.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the injuries that he's faced, and the Orioles have been hit a little bit with injury bugs so far, just a week into the season. And even though they are a week into the season, Brandon Hyde said yesterday that this break today comes at kind of a good time, especially how they've used their bullpen over the past couple games. Do you agree?
I totally do. I get the whole theory of, hey, when you get on a little bit of a roll, the last thing you want to do is stop. But I really don't believe a lot in momentum in baseball. It is, here comes the cliche, the next day starting pitcher. And we've seen that already. We saw that with the Red Sox. They won 13-2 in the opener and then lost the next 2. And then the Orioles, pitched really well, and then all of a sudden the Yankees show up, and it's like, uh-oh. So I think it's more important right now to get that day of rest because, as Hyde said, he's really had to work through that bullpen quite a bit, and using guys on back-to-back days, which is a little dicey this early in the season and after a kind of a rush summer camp. So I think it's very beneficial to just give everybody a breather today and then let them come back tomorrow and keep looking up at the sky to see if they're actually going to be able to play or not. But it helps them. Guys who would have been definitely unavailable tonight, you have a better shot at having available, even if it's in a limited role, tomorrow.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Marlins coming to town. They have 4 games in 3 days against the Marlins. They don't know the game times yet of any of those games, but we know that they're supposed to play those games at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. What are we supposed to expect from these Marlins that haven't played in over a week, now have Richard Blyer, are a completely different team on paper, and the last time we saw them play on a field was last Sunday. So what are the Orioles going to get in an opponent in the Miami Marlins this week?
They could be a little rusty. I mean, we talk about the Orioles benefiting from 1 day off. You don't necessarily want more than a week off. Let's be honest. But I think they're just thrilled to be able to have the opportunity to play again. It's been reported earlier today that they had no positive tests again. So it looks like they've contained this thing. The Orioles, I'm sure, are going to say all the right things publicly about, hey, we're not worried. Our protocols that are put in place, they've undergone a lot of testing. But I'm sure in the back of their minds are thinking, hey, welcome to Baltimore. Don't touch anything. How could you not, But, yeah, I think the fact that, first of all, you're blending in new guys on the team, that's not ideal right now. And the fact that they've had such a long layoff could be a little bit of a struggle for them. And maybe it's a rallying type thing with these guys. like, hey, we're back. People were counting us out before, and even more so now. And maybe that's something that they ride to maybe go on a nice stretch here or not.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to tell what to expect from anybody. It's hard to know what to expect from the Orioles. It could be the reverse lock. They weren't supposed to win yesterday. Tommy Malone was not impressive opening day, and look what he did. They are supposed to beat up the Marlins because, again, soft part of the schedule for a team that's rebuilding and had the second worst record last year. And we're still looking for soft spots. So it could go the other way. It's going to be interesting to find out.
Yeah, absolutely. But if it does go the way of the Orioles, we could be looking at the end of the week of a team that is still in second place in the AL East, still fighting for a playoff spot. And if the Orioles continue to contend this way, we already saw that Mike Elias was willing to trade away one of his veteran relievers. Do you think that Elias is going to look at some of the pieces within the Orioles as more enticing trade pieces to other teams? Or do you think, and this is probably not the likely scenario, that the Orioles could be looking to add at the trade deadline this year?
Yeah, I don't think so. And I think he showed his hand a little bit by moving Blyer only 6 games into the season with the team, playing pretty well. I think it's still big picture. Here's what we need to do to get through this rebuild as quickly as we can. And we'll enjoy whatever good things happen during that time. But I don't think you suddenly become major buyers or you're willing to suddenly deal away a player who you'd look at as a piece for the future for a rental. I just don't see them doing that. That's why I jokingly put, break up the Orioles. And I thought, well, they're probably going to do that anyway. So, yeah. But wouldn't it be a great story and it really would be worth probably writing a book, and maybe I would do that, if they somehow still made the postseason, despite trading off more and more players in this bizarre world we're in anyway. I think it'd be a fantastic story. And this clubhouse is trying to make that happen. I know there had to be some guys after the Blyer trade that were like, what are we doing here? I thought we were all going for this. But they understand it's a business. That's fine. I'm assuming the Orioles already have a guy in mind that they're getting back who isn't in that 60-player pool. That's why they don't announce it yet. It's after the season when the rules go back to anybody. And it's probably somebody they couldn't pass up. So I guess in that regard, it makes sense. But here's Brandon Hyde again. I've said this from day one when he was hired. Everybody's been very transparent in the organization about this rebuild, the plan. It's not about winning right now. And then you have a manager saying, I understand that's how you get the job. And then you go in the clubhouse and say, guys, we're trying to win. Trust me, I believe in you. And I want to win as many games as possible because I'm a major league manager. And, I don't want a terrible record. And then maybe I never get another job the rest of, you know what I mean? So he's got his motivations and he's trying to get these guys to be like, hey, big picture, it's a rebuild, but I expect you to play hard every night and do your best to win. And I hope we win. And I hope we make the playoffs even during a rebuild.
Yeah.
So he's really in that position this year.
Yeah, it's a tough balancing act. What would that book be called, Rock?
So I'm going to need some time. I could probably use your help because you're good with a quip.
I got to call Olivia Witherite up to come up with some kind of rock pun, some kind of 2020 pun. There's got to be something there. But
right. I'm going to work in the word truncated. I know that. It's got to have truncated in it.
Perfect.
Because I have a different streak going. How many times I can use truncated on consecutive days?
Yeah, I noticed it.
And I hope it's
in your
become
blog.
a drink again. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I also noticed in the comments this morning where some guy who never comments ever wrote me and said, I'm so annoyed that you keep using that word. Find another one. And I said, I have truncated interest in your opinion, sir.
I'll out myself. That was me. Sorry about that, Rob.
Yeah. It was E. Mancano.
You should have guessed. Awesome. Rock, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you at Oriole Park at Camden Yards, front row of the press box with your personal fan, which I am quite jealous of. So we'll see you at
the only
Camden
personal fan that I have, but thank you very much.
You're using it well. Rock Abacco joining us here on MASN All Access. You just can't forget about the MASN All Access podcast. We talked with Brett Hollander, Orioles broadcaster, on the most recent episode, and we discussed the things that we've learned through the first week of the season. You can catch the MASN All Access podcast pretty much anywhere you can get your podcasts. Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Watch it on the MASN All Access Facebook page. Watch it on the MASN Orioles YouTube channel. Please rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff as well. Thanks to Rock Abacco for joining today's show. Thanks to Brendan Mortensen, Bobby Blanco, Hannah Broder behind the scenes as well. Orioles and Marlins this week. 4 games in 3 days. We just can't wait. I'm Paul Mancano. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.